Well, now let's to assess our exclusive interview with President Trump and to discuss the latest evidence of the Biden family corruption. We bring in Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene from Georgia to evaluate this ongoing double standard of justice or injustice in America. Well, let's bring her in. Congresswoman, thank you for joining us. I sat down with Trump, mentioned your name, talked about the impeachment. You know, he is pretty upset. Let's just go right to the impeachment side, if you don't mind, control room.
Has to happen. I mean, it's massive theft. It's extortion. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. This is the most corrupt human being. This is the most corrupt family. For these things to be happening is not even believable. And I heard a couple of Republicans, nice people, and they said, well, we have other things to worry about. We have to do this. We have to do that. What could be more important than this?
That was the response, MTG, to when I said Marjorie Taylor Greene is looking to impeach President Biden. They don't have the full caucus yet. What should she do? And he really was like, he's behind you 100%. Get him impeached.
That's right. And I'm behind President Trump 100%. Here's the real situation. We have the Department of Justice. We have the full deep state and the Biden administration going after President Trump, accusing him of being a criminal when the real criminal actually resides in the White House. And this investigation that we have been leading in Oversight Committee is extremely important, Eric. But you know where I've been from day one. I introduced articles of impeachment on Joe Biden for his corrupt actions with Burisma and the Hunter Biden laptop and all the information that we had all the way back on Joe Biden's first day in office. And I don't think we can turn a blind eye to criminal behavior, especially from elected officials like Joe Biden when he was vice president of the United States of America, and now he is serving as president of the United States. And here we're watching the Department of Justice basically be the campaign arm for the Democrat National Party. We cannot allow this to happen. Republicans have got to get on board, and we need to move forward with an impeachment inquiry as soon as we come back in September.
Yeah, MTG, your committee yesterday came out with some new information that there may be another $20 million that you're looking at that found its way into the Biden coffers. And then there was this one, and I asked Trump about this one. It just boggles my mind. You know, they say some criminals are smart, but some of them are so stupid they deserve to be caught. Hunter Biden and Devin Archer, their group, got $142,300 wired in from Kazakhstan. I believe it was Kazakhstan, an oligarch there. The very next day, that same number went from that bank account of Archer and Hunter to a car dealership, and he bought a sports car with the same dollar amount. Am I wrong to be thinking that Hunter is in bed with some hooker and says, watch me get Kazakhstan to buy you a Porsche, sweetheart? Something crazy like that, but the same dollar amount.
Yeah, isn't that amazing, Eric? I don't think you have gotten a wire transfer for over $140,000 from Kazakhstan for you to buy a Porsche. But you know what, Eric? Your last name is not Biden. And that's how the American people see it. This is corruption on the highest level, and it cannot be ignored. But for people that don't understand, like, why are we constantly fighting this fight in Washington, D.C., let's break it down to where it matters. You know, take, for example, a single mom that is just trying to feed her kids. When she goes to the grocery store, she can hardly afford cereal and bread. Do you want to know why? Because those products are made with grain. And let's look at where the breadbasket of the world is. That is in Ukraine. So all of America is compromised, and this comes all the way down to consumers like a single mom who can't afford to buy cereal and bread because the price of bread and grain has gone up so much with this war in Ukraine. You see, you have to connect the dots, and this is how it works. And this is why we have to do everything we can to impeach Joe Biden, because he's a criminal, and we have all the evidence that we need to do it. And then also do everything we can to turn our country around, because Democrat policies are destroying our nation.
MTG, while Hunter Biden's getting $142,300 to go buy a sports car the next day and millions of dollars from Ukrainians and Romanians and Chinese and whatnot, Fani Willis wants to indict Trump. Now we see outside the courthouse in Georgia, wherever the state house is, there are barricades being put up in anticipation of an indictment. We hear it's going to come mid to early next week. Fani Willis may have a little problem of her own. There are some reports that say she's less than a stand-up prosecutor. She may have even had relationships with some of the gang members of the gang she's prosecuting.
Yeah, that's a weird conflict of interest, I'd say, Eric. You know, Fani Willis's problem, and I go through Atlanta quite frequently, she doesn't put barricades up around the homeowners' homes there in Atlanta that have to deal with all the crime in that city that she should be prosecuting with Fulton County taxpayer dollars. No, she's more interested in using her office as another campaign arm for the Democrat Party to try to smear President Trump with more lies. And shame on her for doing this. And, you know, she isn't fit to handle this case. They need to remove her because of her weird conflict of interest, especially how she's used some of these stories and some of these subpoenas to raise money for her own campaign. And so we'll see how this folds. Again, the people in Georgia will not tolerate this. We will not allow our state to be used against President Trump. As a matter of fact, Eric, I think you'll see the state of Georgia vote for President Trump in 2024.
So Letitia James famously in New York campaigned on, I will get Trump. I will get Trump out of office. She did that. She ended up getting an indictment in the state of New York, and in the city of New York. Alvin Bragg did. We hear Fani Willis may also have made some of those type of comments when she was talking about getting elected or reelected to, I'll get Trump. And how can we have prosecutors that are so blatantly biased towards an individual? Who cares if he's a former president?
Well, you know how it is for the Democrats. Once they catch a good case of Trump Derangement Syndrome, they never get rid of it. And let's really think how a prosecutor should campaign to be elected. They should be campaigning to clean up crime and make the city streets safe for the people that live there and the businesses that operate there. But that's not who these people are, because they're criminals themselves. They are abusing the power that they possess. And that's what communists do in communist countries. They abuse the power that they have, and they target their political enemies. And for the Democrats, there is no bigger political enemy than Donald J. Trump. And we know why. It's because, Eric, he puts America first, not America last, just like the Democrats do. And I will argue that is exactly why we will elect him to be president in 2024.
All right. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. Georgia, you have a great congresswoman right there. Keep her in office. Make sure she elevates as well. Congresswoman, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Eric.